9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
What up, y'all? Happy Monday. Monday. Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad, here for WWT Live. First off, I'm not alone. Thank goodness. My dog's here because she wants to be on WWT Live too. Welcome, Beulah. But the PR princess herself, Courtney Rice, is in the building. How are you doing, Courtney?
It's Monday, as usual, but I'm doing pretty good. I had a rested weekend. Lots to cover because you were at TNA over the weekend. We have Raw, and also just continuing the aftermath of WrestleMania and just getting ready for Backlash.
That part. And, the sweetest Oos is also in the building. Wrestling with Honey. Wearing the shades, though. How you doing, Miss Honey?
As always, we're in the shades. Today, I am feeling phenomenal. You know what? I am feeling so good. I feel like a champion. I woke up feeling like a champion after this weekend. I'm telling you right now, we outside. It's a beautiful day. We have a new United States Women's Champion. We had an amazing return coming off of, SmackDown. I just can't wait to start a new week. I feel like a champion.
There it is. And I didn't know, I've known this gentleman for quite some time. I didn't know he is the podcast godfather. But, welcome to podcast godfather himself, Flowbeto.com. Flobo Boys, what's going on?
Yeah, it's been a crazy trip. I got the call from Seth, I got the call from the councilman. You got to answer when people call. You can, of course, it's always an honor to be on WWT. The Hall of Famer herself, TK, was like, come on through on a Monday. I said, yeah, it's you, so why not?
Hall of Famer. Hey, well,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, lifetime achievement. What's that?
Oh yeah. Well, thanks.
You forgot about our lifetime achievement award. Okay.
Sorry about that. I am truly excited to introduce this gentleman. We popped his cherry yesterday, guys.
What?
The councilman.
Hey yo.
Popping cherries in 2025 is
diabolical. I'm sorry.
So happy. I'm so happy. That
part was at me, y'all.
The councilman. What's good? How you doing? How you feeling? You sore?
Hello to everybody except TK, who also don't even get her peoples right. It's the pod father, not the godfather of pods. First off,
I like the godfather of pods. Okay, but the pod
would you like it if I called you TK Turks and Caicos?
I can do Turks and Caicos.
She actually, I don't think she would mind that.
You wouldn't mind it.
I would mind it.
Okay, I'm gonna call you TK Vancouver. How about that?
Okay, yeah, I like that.
It's still Canada.
TK Vancouver.
But let's get into it. I asked you a question though. How you feeling?
I don't want to answer after you said that. No, I know. Don't say that and then ask me how I'm doing. Like, no. And then you don't get no context as to what you're saying. Like, no. Like, I got family members in jail. You're not finna have them like calling me talking about, hey, bro, hey, yo, bro, you getting your cherry pop? You out here getting your pussy laying there? Like, no. You're gonna do this to me. I don't lie.
Man, sick, y'all.
Oh my god.
No. If
all right.
For context, what she's saying is I attended the first ever TNA live event, is what happened.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Shout out to one of my bosses for hooking it up, so I appreciate that. Will and I got to go to TNA yesterday and had a blast, and we bumped into Flowbeto.com there. So first off, Will, since it was your very first show, it was the first time for you. How was it? How did you like the show? And how was the vibe?
I learned a lot watching TNA. how you take this is on y'all. But you know, I started now looking at wrestling promotions like airports and the companies that they fly. WWE is, of course, Delta. You know, they be on their bullshit sometimes, but you know, you got the Delta Club, you got screens in the seats, you got the extra leg room and stuff like that. AEW, American Airlines. I know Courtney didn't think I was going there. American Airlines. Not the first pick, but if you go there, you're going to have a great experience. TNA felt more like Spirit Airlines. Not because of the show itself, but the audience.
Whoa. Not even Southwest? Damn.
Not even Southwest. Southwest is like, that's New Japan. New Japan is like Southwest. TNA, the show itself was good. I definitely enjoyed the show. It's the audience that was very different for me. Maybe it was LA. Maybe it was just those particular people. This is how you know TK don't go to the movies. This is right there how you know shit about the movies.
Oh no, I don't do that.
Clearly not, because you don't pay attention to the silence your cell phones before we start.
I haven't been to. Well, actually, no, I did the Queen
I was
of the
just
Ring.
gonna say you just went to Queen of the Ring, I think.
Yeah, but that was press, so it's different. But you know,
Still a movie theater, though.
But outside of the crowd, everything else was a great experience. Like where we got to go, the booking, enjoying TK's company while we was there. I like that she's with the shits. She won't plan doing the bullshit, but she will go along with the bullshit. I will say that. Because where she had us, well, first off, I don't know who it was that had us there, but they had us in general in the 200s. I don't know who booked it, but obviously you don't care for fat people that much because I couldn't fit in the seat. Not because I'm big, you know, like I like to consider myself like the size of a retired football player. Like, you know, like I ain't fat, but I still could go, but not too long. So I couldn't fit. So then I went to the handicap section where the wheelchair people at. And I was like, could I just sit like in the back of them and like be cool right here? And TK didn't say shit. She just walked up. I was like, you know what? TK know how this media shit goes. She didn't give a fuck. She sat down right there with me. We enjoyed popcorn. And then we saw like all of the media tables was available. Like they didn't bring no media for TNA. So I was like, yo, TK, you just let's go sit down here because if this woman in front of us yell one more time or try to high five us for no particular reason while we trying to eat popcorn and cotton candy, I'm gonna say something I shouldn't say. So she was with the shits. We went down, had a beautiful view, enjoyed the show, and TNA does not get the flowers it deserves for the performances that they put on because it was incredible. I think that's why I'm talking so much shit about the crowd because I was like, yo, these performers definitely deserve better because they put on a show, especially the ladies. And I feel like this crowd was just, but the show itself, Rebellion, I loved it. I loved every match about it. I don't care how cold I was in there. I enjoyed TNA. Am I going to watch it weekly? Absolutely not. But
after all that,
but you invite me to a show, like if the Podfather was like, hey man, you trying to come out to Irvine to come watch something? I'm down. I'll go check it out. And as always, I got to sit there and believe. Got to come on, man. It is home. I can't beat that. Can't beat that at all. But Rebellion was dope.
Since you were there, Flobo, you want to give your take on it?
Oh man, I can't really compare it to airlines, man. That's just crazy. But I was on the floor. I was in the third row. So I had a seat was next to me. So I didn't have the space issue. But I bet if I was in the raised level, probably that building is old. The Galen Center is an old venue, and that's really like TNA kind of goes. They don't really do any kind of like the hot new stuff as far as like places before. But the show was great, especially coming after WrestleMania, where you put all this money and you got to be in the building and feel the energy, but you know very clearly you're not. You know, the action is with the people who got the money. It felt cool to be on top of the action with an organization that has enough production value to give the best of both worlds. In fact, if you knew somebody who didn't like wrestling, and you're like, oh look, you want to go to a show? It's a lot more comfortable than say an independent show, but then it's not as like, yo, give me your entire lunch money as a WWE event. So it was cool, man. I know we'll talk about it later. I love the women's matches, especially the tag team match and the title match as well. People went all out with the Ultimate X. It was definitely a good Sunday night, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I feel like every TNA show that I've been to live, it's always been a great experience. And I feel because they have a smaller roster, I believe it's easier to get back in. Like if you miss WWE, I feel like you have to watch at least a couple weeks, or depending on what show it is, and how many vignettes they show. It's like, okay, I can get the base a bit, but with TNA, once you kind of get the base, you never really fall out. And I was really excited about that. So shout out to TNA for that. With that, we can kind of talk about different matches that stood out. I don't know, Courtney or Honey, if you got to watch any of the matches for TNA, because what I forgot to do is give you guys the password, because we have a WWT password, so I should have done that. But
I didn't. I was at work, unfortunately, but I did see a lot of like the aftermath and clips of everything that happened. It looked really exciting. It looked like a lot of fun, and some wild things went down. So we can start with the ladies if you want.
Yeah. I got to see some results on social. A lot of big news happening. Did sign a new person onto the roster, which we will talk about shortly, but a lot of exciting stuff that happened during the pay-per-view, especially with the ladies, the tag team match, the X division. That's always the fun part about TNA.
Yeah, well, let's get into it. So Masha Slamovich, she wins. This match was kind of interesting. So she wins against Tessa Blanchard, and the crowd wasn't necessarily feeling Tessa. But again, Flobo, since you were there, and I actually asked somebody who works for TNA about this, and I was like, does this always happen, like on the live shows? And he told me this was only the second time it happened. Remember, the first time is when she debuted, and that kind of made the press runs. But this was, according to them, this was the second time that it's happened. So with that being said, Flobo, and since you were so close to the ring, how was the match to you?
Oh, the match itself was fantastic. But about the Tessa and her jeering out of it is, I felt like it was half our group that wanted to outright boo, and the other half was kind of like, why are we booing? And then when we were all saying what happened, then they kind of jumped in. So I can see it not being fair on that level, where people who are neutral are kind of like, I want to learn to boo right here. But at the same time, people are booing for a reason. So our section was very clearly for Masha. And I know Masha gets a bad rap because she, I don't say retired, but like she was basically won the title from Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace went on to NXT. So it's kind of like she's not there. How dare she do what Jordan Grace did? But Masha deserves a little bit of love. So if it came at the expense of Tessa Blanchard, the heel, I'll take that.
Honey, anything about this match?
As far as the Masha and Tessa, I mean, it was definitely to be expected. I felt like there was going to be a lot of heat on both sides. A lot of people were really worried about Masha losing to Tessa. I mean, quite honestly, I wasn't rooting for her anyway. but yeah, Masha Slamovich definitely needed that win over her. I can't even and don't want to even imagine what would have happened if they did have Tessa win. Like,
Snell saying, to think that once upon a time TNA had the best women's division in the world. Gay can let the squad. Yeah, Gail. I mean, it's crazy. I feel like, you know what? You're right.
It's diminishing the women's division over there.
Right, you're right. Because now NXT is taking over. I feel like NXT has a stronger women's division than all the brands right now. I was watching the match and I thought Tessa was gonna win. How it was playing out, I thought Tessa was gonna win. And so I'm interested to see how the storyline is gonna play out now, as far as what's gonna happen next with Tessa. Are they gonna run it back, or Masha's gonna continue her kill list, if you guys what that reference is. We can also talk about the X Division Championship. Actually, sorry, we can kind of bounce around a little bit. we can skip to the very end. And I already know I'm already opening the door for this, but
I was gonna say.
I mean,
I was gonna say, but I'm not gonna say it.
I mean,
we had this discussion last week.
What was the discussion? All right.
If Councilman was here, he would. Councilman is technically here, but he's indisposed at the moment. But if Professor also was, he'd be like, "Well, that's totally what you would do. Go jump to the end and then go back to the beginning."
Well, say that
on Friday.
Better me than them. I'm just saying that's what I know what they would have said.
Oh my goodness! So Trick Williams made an appearance, and I feel like this is not gonna be the last. At the very end of the show, did they show it? I don't know if they showed it on. If you watched the pay-per-view, I'm assuming they did because it was on the news. So Flobo, did you walk out? Because technically, so for another fun fact about me that you guys will thoroughly enjoy is I usually don't stay to end of events.
She never does.
Very rare.
Never does.
It's very rare.
She never does.
It's very rare that I show up on time.
Because she stayed at every event when I went with her last year.
Yeah, because she thought she had to.
Yeah, because I was.
Yeah, you were VIP wrestling, honey. I'm just.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't. I really.
She took me to SummerSlam. She's like, "I'm out." I'm like, "You out at SummerSlam?" Like, it's a big show. What are you doing?
Yeah, I really stay to end events, and I really show up for live events. I rarely show up on time. I just don't like the crowds and the shuffling in. It's just my pet peeve. So, because ironically, because this was Will's first time, and we popped this cherry, I stayed to the very end. And Trick showed up. So with that being said, Flobo, were you there or did you leave, or were you on your way leaving? Because a lot of people had started leaving. And 2, what do you think is next?
No, I stayed, not necessarily because I'm a person's there all the time, but it really felt like he was going to do another one of those concerts after the fact. At least I thought that was the story was going to go. But, Trick Willie showed up. A lot of people in the IWC were like upset. Oh, man, the TNA champ got buried twice. And I'm like, no, he didn't, because he got to be at WrestleMania. And on Tuesday, he ran his mouth. And when you run your mouth, you get receipts. I understand with Triple A and all that stuff, but the TNA NXT relationship is helping out both parties, and we're seeing it in spades. Trick had nowhere to go on NXT right now, but now I want to see this Hendry Trick Willie matchup. So it just hit all the marks. So for sure.
Courtney, how do you think this is going to play out between Hendry and Trick?
I think this is really going to be a fun match after what happened last week on NXT, where Joe Hendry was at a stare down with Trick Williams and Obafemi. So it definitely added a lot of bit of layers. And I think he still is a little bit salty from Joe Hendry. And also I did see Mr. Shawn Michaels tweeted out that he invited Joe Hendry to NXT tomorrow. So there is a lot of brewing with them, but I wouldn't mind seeing a match between the two of them. And of course, the Ruler will be watching closely on this match, mostly in particular because he also wants to face Joe Hendry.
Ultimate X. I actually want to get your take on this, Flo. If you guys watched it, I felt like the ending was off a tiny bit. So you kind of want to break it down and then either agree or disagree.
So Moose is afraid of heights. And he has to defend his X Division title on Ultimate X. And that poor guy tried to jump on a chair. Like he tried to like will the crowd to do it. But what happened was the person who stole the match, Leon Slater, went all nuts, had the belt in hand. Remember in Ultimate X, you had to get the belt and then touch the ground with both your feet. And the idea was he was supposed to drop off, that was Slater, and get speared, and Moose takes the title. But we can clearly see, at least live, that Slater's feet did touch the ground. So I would love to have that run back or that be a point of contention. They have to address it because it was obvious that your boy Leon won. But Alicia Edwards going all full American Ninja, that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, that was really good. It was that was really good. I really one of our ACW roster members, Sydney Akeem, was there too, so he had a great showing as well. So yeah, that one was really good. I did also like our AfterBuzz alum, kind of, sort of, but also, I mean, first WWE Hall of Famer first. X-Pac was there.
Yeah.
And he had some great moves too. So what did you think of that match?
I mean, Alicia Edwards taking the X Factor, man. I was like, yo, what are we doing? But the crowd's behind him, man. 2-time Hall of Famer. It was a great little add to the dynamic of this matchup.
Is there any other highlights? Because I don't want to necessarily go over it because it's not a post show for Rebellion. So
Indy Hartwell, anyone? Indy Hartwell?
Yeah.
I think that was a highlight. I think it was
I think
it was a very pleasant surprise to see her. I'm happy that she's technically still in that WWE realm with the partnership, because I really felt like that they kind of dropped the ball on having her on the roster, being that she was, on her way and already in the main roster. But I think this is a great opportunity for her, because that way we could get to see her shine in a way that we never have before. And she can really come into her own through here while still being able to be using that TNA and NXT partnership. So I really think she's one of the women that could definitely help with the situation that's going on with the women's division, like we said earlier, like where it's diminishing, because Indy Hartwell is an amazing performer and she has a lot of good potential in the ring.
Courtney, do you think that the division is diminishing because, I mean, Gail was released, was it like a month ago? Less than a month ago? Right before WrestleMania, I think. Do you think it was diminishing because of that, or do you think it's diminishing because NXT and other brands are actually picking up more women? The women's roster on other brands is expanding.
I think it is a little bit of both, because when we got the news regarding Gail Kim, it was a little bit shocking, because we knew TNA was going through a lot of changes within their executive front. As Scott D'Amore got released, then it was Gail Kim, but it was also thinking an importance that she was in that women's division. And also with the fact Jordynne Grace is now on NXT and signed with WWE, which is a goal that's for her. So it's kind of really figuring out like who are your main players within the TNA roster. Of course, you have Masha Slamovich, who is holding the Knockouts Championship. Honey said we have Indy Hartwell, which I think she would be a really great asset to that division, and that could really help a bit along with that partnership with TNA and NXT. And I do want to go back to Indy Hartwell, because I know it's not going to happen, but I would love to see her reunite with my little poison pixie, Candice LeRae, but never say never. But I think that's also true too as well. And also we got to see the Meta Girls last night at Rebellion, so that's also a nice thing too.
Can we talk about the Jakara Jackson chance? Because I feel like that was one person that was getting lost in the shuffle in their own tag team. But LA loved Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson chance happening.
Let's just make something clear. Everybody loves Miss Jackson, especially Dylan, our producer from the future.
Oh yeah, shout out to Dylan.
shout out to Dylan. What do you think is? I thought you mentioned Poison Pixie, but I also I saw Steph DeLander post this. So Indy and Steph running it back. That's going to be interesting too. I guess, Honey or Courtney, what do you think within the TNA Knockouts universe? What's gonna happen? Because I know we have this crossover of TNA and NXT, but I feel like you still have to build up your roster. You have to build up your roster to a point where it's okay. Like now you're going back and forth, and that's fine, but not leave it to the point where we don't have, a lot of females in the TNA Knockouts division.
Yeah, Courtney, you go first.
It's really interesting because with the fact they just added WWE ID, that's also something that they can lean on to with the fact, because they are getting a lot of independent starts coming in. Also, you also have some ladies that just got released. One of the ladies from Stardom just announced at a press conference she's ending with Stardom.
Mayu Iwatani.
Yep, her. She just announced in a press conference today. So that's another opportunity. And also it's good for TNA to venture out to see what is out there and what can they make on the original Knockouts. I think that's also a really great opportunity as well, and just continue to build. And also, Honey and I were talking about this a couple months ago, that Elektra Lopez was in talks with TNA. So that's another factor in as well, just really kind of figuring out what's out there and really building it. And also, as I mentioned, the void with Gail Kim, that's also gonna be taking a little bit of a bump. So it's just figuring out like what women's it's out there.
Yeah, they need to find some sort of direction, because it's not like there's a shortage of women in wrestling now. You know what I mean? Now we have the factory moving it, coming in. Like you said, we have the WWID, you have also like the Performance Center, you also have LFG and Evolve and all these other things. So I think that they're on their way to potentially reshaping that division for the women, but they're going to do it with either with fresh faces or faces that are familiar and that we've seen before as well, because right now I feel like it's in like it's in between a rock and a hard place. You're not sure what to expect, but because it's like there's people that are signed to WWE on the main roster, but they're in NXT, so they go to TNA every now and then, so they just have to find a balance and just find that the common medium in order to be able to stay organized within the division, so that way they could just keep building that women's division on top, and you'll be able to bring in your legends and things like that. Also with Indy, I think that and Elektra Lopez, even the fact that we've barely seen them throughout this time says a lot, because I think that they're going to be in preparation for a lot of big upcoming things in the future for the women. So here's hoping.
Question, Flobo, with the way that WWE has been recruiting women, meaning indie wrestlers, and essentially throughout the college division, do you think that's actually not necessarily the greatest? It's a great job for WWE, but it's actually hindering everybody else, all the other promotions. Because now that I'm like kind of looking at where we were, I don't know, like 10 years ago. And the TNA Knockouts division was like on fire, but there was kind of almost a separation between church and state, meaning that like you had these set of girls and they were kind of TNA knockout girls, and there was a certain type of, and not necessarily looks wise, but there's a certain type of WWE folks, and it just seems like the funnel is WWE's recruiting, and it seems like okay, it's going to go to TNA or to WWE, but it's not going to be a difference of the two.
Sure.
That's what I'm seeing. What do you think?
So I think it comes to both positive and negative. The positive with the WWID system, and especially their recruiting efforts, is that they are reaching out to athletes of different sports who may not necessarily would have been looking at wrestling as a path of a career. You look at someone like Jada Parker, maybe not so much as hot she was now as she was last year, but she was a soccer player. And that's someone that was planning to be only a soccer player, but now she's in the wrestling system. Bianca Belair was famously recruited by Mark Henry online. So there's the positives. But the negative is the way WWE does it is a WWE style that is very, very distinct. And so I think the bigger strategy, the Triple A's, the TNA relationships, is really them recreating an indies department in their own image, where they can send and siphon out people's other things so they get some seasoning. Now, I do think the opportunities are now here more than ever. If you're a competitor, male or female, but we're talking about women here, you can get yourself over a bunch of ways of getting booked, using the internet to your advantage. But no, eventually you're going to come across the WWE system, and you have to have a bit of a crossroads there. Do you want to be outside that system, or do you want to play ball? I think that's the issue rather than the talent, because we've seen there's talents more than ever. I mean, we have 100 lists, 200 lists, 500 lists of the best women wrestlers in the world. That to me tells you the division is healthy. It comes down to see who's going to rise to the cream of the crop.
I think it's also the fact that it's hard to, they're in that space where they have to where they're looking for their new face, for their women's division, because that was Jordan Grace all the way. Jordan Grace was running it for a long time, and it's kind of hard to replace that greatness that she created. So you know what I mean? But I mean, she left it. She started it and through her career there and created an impact to the point where now she's completely worldwide. She's a problem. Everywhere you see her, she's going to be a problem for somebody, even in the main, when she gets to that main roster, which should definitely be sooner than later. But it's hard to find your new face after having such a strong impacting one sometimes. So I think that maybe if there's something that they can build on, they just need to find their set faces for the right titles for that division. You know what I mean? So it's just, It's just about also that as well. Thanks, Sidio.
All right, some big news. I'm actually really wanting to see this, and it's going to be happening sooner than later. So WWE Hall of Famer Sharmell will be returning to the ring for the first time in 15 years for Reality of Wrestling, which is her and Booker T's promotion. She's going to go up against Tiffany Neves. We've had her on the show. She's amazing. I feel like she should be signed within the year to somebody. Yes, La Princesa.
Oh no.
So I mean, oh my goodness, there's so many shows that I wish I could watch, like not like just the time for everything.
Like you need to sit in one of and you need to sit in one of those spaces, like in the casinos where they have the ESPN bet and they have all the TVs. Every show and just sit there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, now that
where's the casino for the wrestling shows, y'all?
Now that you say that, I'm gonna try that, because the problem is, I think for me, I multitask, but I'm also trying to listen. But with wrestling, you can watch it and still kind of get the gist of the story. So I might, for the promotions that I can't, like, I think I'm gonna try that, because I'm looking at 5 screens right now, so it's possible. I'm gonna try that. I'll see how successful I am. But with that, I
boss lady.
Right there.
Yeah. Gonna see how I can squeeze in more work. But with that being said, Flobo, what do you think about this matchup and the excitement? So it's happening May 10th.
Man, what was Tiffany doing to tick off Sharmell so hard that she had to take off her earrings to come back to the ring? Right there, that sells tickets. Sharmell's a Hall of Famer that we always wondered what her last match was going to be. And if it was a trivia question, I probably would have got it wrong. But now we have ourselves a next chapter for somebody who didn't really get her flowers coming from the Nitro Girl system to actually having a very storied career. This could be a fantastic experience for both these women. So I'm in. I only got 2 screens though. I only got 5. So I'm not sure when I'm going to get a chance to see it, but I got to see
it. Courtney, how do you think this plays out? And do you think this is going to be the last hurrah? Because I feel like this is the reasons why I don't go back and do CrossFit. Because it's like you retire, or even with like track workouts and stuff like that. It's like you retire for a good reason, and then you start picking up weights, or you start doing the thing that you used to. Then you think you still got it. And not saying that she doesn't got it, but it's also like time, being a human, all the things. So do you think this is gonna be her last match, or do you think she's gonna get bit by the bug again and we're gonna see a couple more?
Ironically enough, from one former beauty queen to another, because Sharmell did compete in pageants like I did, I don't think it's the last time we see her, because I don't know how you tick off the queen like that. I don't know how you tick off Sharmell. And also, just a little back, if you never watched any like matches she was in TNA, I highly recommend watching them during her tenure. But it's really nice for her to be back in the ring again, and maybe after she competes, the bug may be on her again, because she grew up in this whole business, starting off as a Nitro girl. Obviously, she's been married to Booker for more than 20 years, that's a huge milestone in itself. So I wouldn't mind seeing her back in the ring, and I actually do want to see that match with Sharmell. Hopefully, I don't have 5 screens, but I can figure out a way to wiggle in 2 screens.
We need 5 screens. Is what we need.
Oh my goodness! I already know Cindel's gonna say something in the next couple days.
I have my laptop screen. I got my iPad screen. I have another iPad screen and my 2 TVs. So technically, that's 1, 2, or 5.
Yeah, that's 5.
All right.
There you go.
Oh, and my phone 6.
I have to get on it, man. I can't live the Batman life. I'm sorry.
Man, the 2 screen life is like,
if Councilman was here right now, he'd shit all over me at TK right now.
I mean, the 2 screen life is like, if you do a lot of work and you like multitask, it's great, because like I have like an editing screen. I've always had like 20 windows up, unfortunately. But then I discovered this thing on Chrome where you can have different things for your different businesses. So now everything's not on one thing. And then I have a TV screen, and I have my laptop screen. I just got a new laptop, so shout out to the new laptop person. But yeah, it's
all right, new laptop person. What's up?
Okay, now.
So it's
gonna call her TK Wayne over here. TK Wayne.
But let's get into Flobo. You actually mentioned it a couple of times. So AAA and Conan, he is going to he confirms his role as part of the creative team. And I feel like I've known of AAA for quite some time because of just being in, doing this stuff. But I feel like because it's been WWE has kind of bought over it, there's going to be more eyes on the product. So what do you think? What do you think is gonna happen with AAA as far as the next upcoming years?
Well, you look at first of all, shout out to Conan because I thought he was going to be with Crash forever, but he's working with Triple right now, and it's going to be a mutual beneficial thing. I know as wrestling fans, we sit back and go, WWE is buying everything. And yes, that's going to be part of the deal. But I really feel like it's going to be different than what it was 30 years ago when they will buy your organization and shut you down. Like I was saying, they're getting all these new recruits. You got to put them somewhere. So on Triple A's side, they got stable income. They can have their share of partnership with TKO Holdings. They have a little bit more security to try new things. And on the WWE side, they can finally figure out who's going to take the mantle from Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio, as we'll get to a little bit later, is still convalescing from his last injury. He's in his 50s now. They've tried many people to be the next mask of the brand. They haven't figured it out. And it could be Vikingo, ironically, who doesn't even have a mask. So I think there is some beneficial things there too. Conan's been plugged into that community for a long time. If there's anyone that can speak WWE in Mexico, it will be him. So props to him, and let's see how it rolls out. But I'm actually more like optimistic than I think most people in IWC about this partnership.
You kind of touched on that, Flobo. So I'll ask you, Courtney. I mean, it definitely, and it's not necessarily WWE buying everything. It's TKO, and getting these multiple brands. Do you think eventually we're going to get to that kind of monopoly type situation where, because remember what I think Flobo, we were at AfterBuzz at the time when WWE was getting, in particular for the women, they were signing all these people. I think Chelsea Green was in that kind of class too, and they're signing all these, but they weren't doing nothing with them. And then I think 3 years later, they ended up releasing a bunch of people. The thing with when you get these acquisitions and when you're kind of buying up businesses is that you have to make sure most of the time, some people buy businesses just to front stuff, but most of the time it's about making more money. So do you think there's a monopoly that's going to be happening where it's not going to be great for the wrestling industry? And do you think now is the time for that to happen?
I hope not. That's what I'm thinking. I hope not. I know a lot of people are very shaky when it comes to AEW right now with everything that's been happening the last couple since they first started. And also TNA, they're kind of going through a rebuild process with everything that's happening with their Knockouts division. I hope not, because this is the beauty part of professional wrestling, because I want to see a lot of multiple promotions succeed. I mean, of course, WWE's at the top with everything and with the partnership with TKO, but it's nice to see some friendly competition. And also with this too, I actually had the chance to look up AAA on the history, and they were kind of not in a very good spot right before they partnered with WWE and TKO. So this is a really great opportunity for them. And especially with Conan, who has a familiarity with the Mexican Latino community, and that's one of the most popular demographics for WWE. They kind of can lean on that and not finding a next Rey Mysterio, but maybe they could find somebody in the female roster, possibly the next Selena Vega. So that's also something to reconsider as well, and just figuring out, and maybe Stephanie Procure, the next Stephanie. So that could also play a huge role in just figuring out, because you have WWID, you have Evolve, you have LFG, you have all these developmental opportunities, even on NXT. So there are a lot of avenues. I just don't want to see it. I just don't want to see the monopoly. I would like to see a lot of friendly competition with all wrestling brands. So I'm very curious on where this is going to go.
Yeah, you basically took the words out of my mouth on that. I'm just a little iffy on it. A little iffy. Just got to wait and see.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a catch-22 because like I'm happy because they're bringing different, like, for instance, TNA, like when for those who didn't watch TNA, Naomi Trin brought, eyes to TNA.
Yes, she did.
So, people are starting to watch that. Now that kind of TNA is under this WWE umbrella, it feels like they kind of have this like fresh new look, the glow to them. People are watching it because of the affiliation. But with that, does it become more like a WWE brand? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like TNA was always kind of different when they had, Rosemary with the multi-universe and, all these things that you wouldn't necessarily see on the WWE product. So I'm wondering, once you kind of bring it in-house, not necessarily under WWE, but under TKO, are we going to lose some of the individuality for these brands? That's kind of my concern with that. And then with that being said, too, when you have so many brands under one house, that means, instead of having, for example, a producer, and this is not accurate, but a producer for all three shows, you might have one producer, one head producer, and then assistant producers or associate producers for the other three shows. Jobs wise, what does that look like as well? So, it's like, I'm happy that, they're funding the money for these projects they're funding these monies for these promotions, but it's also like, what does this look like in the next 3 to 5 years? As far as, wrestlers being signed, like for instance, if you get into a beef with somebody at WWE, can you now go to TNA? Because remember, at one point that was, that was what's happened. You're signed at TNA, then you get signed at WWE, and then you would go back to
everybody
TNA.
who was in TNA hated Vince and all this stuff.
Right. Yeah, so it's just like, you good, Fernando. So like, what does that look like? If you piss off somebody in WWE, you've now the only place now you can go to technically would be AEW. So, and we won't get into the particulars with AEW because we don't know. We have to see what happens. I don't know if you want to speak to that, Courtney. But so it's just kind of like one of those things where it's just like, it's great, but President Ryan, where you been at? It's great, but what does that mean in the next, it's great now, but what does that mean in the next 3 to 5 years?
Sure.
So we'll see. I want to get into this because it's so funny. I wish I would have thought to find the clip. So we'll talk to Trin because I don't know if you were there that day, Flobo. So Naomi, she was on the Bellas podcast and she talked about her wrestling career and motherhood and stuff like that. And she actually talked about motherhood on our podcast. I don't know, was that like 6 or 7 years ago? And we've seen right now in this era, we've seen wrestlers come back, whereas 15 years ago that wasn't a thing. I guess actually I'll ask a woman because Flobo, no offense. Honey.
None taken.
What does this look like for Naomi? Like if you were to plan it out, and obviously she's playing, it's her own life, but if you were to plan it out as far as her wrestling career, what would that look like? In addition to including family.
I think it would be very much along the lines. I mean, now, with the wrestling business is so different and they're so welcoming and, they're very, very aware of the fact that, women have big jobs to do and motherhood is definitely one of them. She's been a phenomenal entertainer. She'd probably be an even better mother. Let's just add on more to the bloodline, shall we? Let's just do that. Another 30-something years, we're going to see those babies super kicking the shit out of somebody at Mania 80 or whatever the hell. You know what I mean? But I love it for her. I believe there's always a possible way to make it possible. Becky and Seth find a way to make it work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that it would be a family road trip and it would just be a fun time because Naomi and Jim would make awesome parents. So I'm not opposed to it being a woman. Like, obviously you have your right to motherhood. And if you want to take a break from your work from wrestling after you're done with this big wave of proceed with caution when that belly starts coming. Okay. But I like it for her. I like it for her a lot. And I think that I think if I don't know how I would write it in, but I wouldn't do so much of what like of how like Becky did it, because I know with Becky there was uncertainty and she was already on top then, and you know what I mean? She had the title and then gave it to Asuka and blah. But I'm not sure how I would write that for Naomi. I think she would just like get written off TV after, after something, and then just take a little break for a while and come back a mama.
Courtney, PR wise, I mean, how would you? And this is all speculation, guys. Y'all don't. We just gonna see. We're gonna see what happens. However, how would you think it would play out?
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's her choice because, as Honey said, there's a lot of different avenues where a lot of them have made it easy for them to be mothers. Of course, with Becky Lynch and stuff, they made it work. Same thing with Alexa Bliss, because I know Alexa Bliss was out for a little bit, but when she became a mom, it actually worked for her. And even when she returned, she still looks good after working out. So there are many different ways to really think about it with the kids. It's just figuring out different avenues. And I think now it's a lot more different than it was back then, because I remember when Trish Stratus did her Hall of Fame induction, she announced that she was pregnant. Like after her wrestling career was over.
She was like, literally, I'm retiring here. I'm going to become a mom. I got my Hall of Fame. Oh, I'm pregnant. Bye. And then still come back 25 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, so exactly, Beulah. Exactly.
So it is plausible, and I think motherhood would definitely look good on Naomi.
Oh.
There is a solution for all this.
All right. Well,
they're gonna be the most fun parents ever. I know that.
Oh my gosh, yes. I just saw a clip on them on TikTok where I think she was, I guess, from a Total Divas episode where she was sneaking in a milkshake, and she saw Jimmy and she threw it out in the garbage. And then he's like, I saw you do that. And then he proceeded to empty out all the cupboards. It was hilarious. I love them. They're absolutely amazing. Coming in from the streets, Seti said has decided to join us.
Great shirt, brother.
Nice shirt.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I didn't expect to be here today, but when I noticed that we were being joined by royalty, I cleared my schedule. Cleared my entire schedule.
My man.
And nothing's more important than potting with Mr. Flobo Boyce today.
Oh, I appreciate that,
Monday.
Oh, man, you know what? You're the reason why I'm here, man. So I appreciate that as well.
What?
Hey, he called me
before it said it was even...
last week, he was like, yo, you free?
Didn't we talk about this on Friday, guys? And TK just needs to say thank you.
That's the name of the channel. Yeah.
She just needs to say thank you. Just
one time. Just once.
Just one time.
Yeah, I get the blame, but not the credit.
Didn't you get body butter?
This is completely different from that. Completely different.
Why you blowing him up, honey? Why?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, what you paid off for product?
I just remember said in a different mind state last week as opposed to this week, so I was just a little confused.
Oh my goodness. Well,
what were we talking about?
Naomi and Jimmy
and motherhood.
I'll just go on the record to say that I don't believe in children. I think as a collective that the human race should stop having babies, and then the last man standing gets to inherit the earth. That's just
said. You were a child once. You do know that, right?
There's no proof of that.
So you've been this grown the whole time.
I think I woke up at this age, this size. There's no proof of that. There's no pictures. There's nothing.
There's no proof.
There's no pictures.
I doubt it.
None.
TK's like challenge accepted.
last man standing. Inherit the earth. No more babies. Nah.
All right. I was gonna say something, but I'll leave it for the after show.
We can talk about Raw.
You want to talk about Queen of the Ring real quick?
Oh yeah, let's do that. It was announced that the Queen of the Ring movie is now going to hit streaming services within the next 2 weeks. I know they're getting ready for a big Mother's Day push to re-release the movie in specific theaters, but now you'll be able to stream that movie from home. And I encourage you guys all to go see the story of the first $1 million women's wrestler, Mildred Burke. It's a beautiful story that features a lot of your favorite women's wrestlers in this space inside the movie. It's a great tale that tells how women's wrestling started, when it wasn't legal, when it was illegal, and how they overcame all those barriers to put on not only great matches, but earn money for women in this space and kind of break the transition of what was accepted. So it's a great movie. There's a lot of great content we got as a result of that. And I encourage you to not only just stream the movie if you're at home and maybe you don't have the ability to go into theaters, but go see it in theaters. It's a good watch.
It's
really great movie.
Worth it. It's worth it for sure.
Mm-hmm. I second and third that. Flobo, did you get to see the movie?
I have not, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. So I should be on my queue. But again, we talked about this earlier. I only got 2 screens, so it's gonna take me a little longer than most people to get there. I don't got 5.
Cindy, I've showered 63 times since Lola's last match.
Oh my God!
Wow!
You went there. You went there.
Wow!
Oh shit! All right. Well.
What happens if Lola gets called up? Is that do you going to pick another one? Are you looking for a prospect, or are you going to be riding with Lola forever?
No, I'm Lola's wise man. So the way that works is I follow her trajectory everywhere. There's also Jada Parker.
Does Lola know?
Apparently not. Apparently not a very good wise man. Because
yeah, does Lola even know?
Wow.
Ma'am.
Sorry.
She's probably had the greatest showing in that ladder match. She's constantly showcased in the Orlando market for NXT Live. The trajectory is there. I'm not just a wise man. I'm part of the family. It's literally on social media. Master Loretta ordained me. It's there.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just feeling myself because my faith has a title. So
I just want to know, when Julia gets called up, how long until she's in catering?
Whoa! Well, that is a very spicy take, sir.
So Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, let's talk about Monday Night Raw.
We're talking about it.
Wait, is this like an inside joke I'm missing? Or are we really believing Julia won't do anything when she gets called up?
Well, the whole joke is that they joke on Cynthia because Cynthia was excited to see Julia win, but she lost her title reign after 63 days, and Cynthia went to go to the show to see Julia.
Yeah, so she had to live that. That's like her character arc now. You had to experience that live.
Yeah. Oh man. All right.
That was basically like me watching Roman lose to Cody finishing his story. So I understand that feeling.
And then lose a year later, getting pinned in 2 ratings in a row. Damn. All right. Well, Raw.
I mean, we can already speculate why they're pairing her up with Roxanne on Raw. But I mean, it's literally the same thing with NXT if you want to go there.
Well, speaking of Raw, since we're having the watch along and post show with the mayor of Vice City, give us the breakdown, Sen.
Are we?
Oh shit!
You got paid, and you also got a bonus. So yeah,
we don't got to talk about that.
Y'all get paid out here. It's crazy.
Let me tell my business.
I
was gonna say, I'm like,
what? The mayor has a lot of work to catch up on, so I can guarantee a post show. Whether you get to watch me watch Raw, we'll debate on that within the next hour. But we're gonna get some fallout from last week with Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Seth Rollins. See what this pairing has to come on Raw tonight. See if there's maybe any additional factors coming in. Maybe another member. I know we're gonna hear from Becky Lynch after the quote unquote turn on Lyra Valkyria last week. We're gonna get Rhea Ripley taking on Roxanne Perez. If you noticed Roxanne last week during that segment, it's been your Twitter detectives or whatever, kind of put the magnifying glass on her gear. She had one of those debut patches on her, I think her right boot on the interior. If you know, those patches are kind of going, they're kind of selling them on the trading cards or something like that. That patch is on her. So now you can kind of confirm that Roxanne is a part of the Raw roster. She'll be taking on Rhea Ripley tonight. And then we're going to hear from Logan Paul, who has something to say, apparently. But yeah, pretty stacked Raw. Of course, probably going to hear from your undisputed champion, John Cena, at some point after the war words him and Randy had on Friday. It should be a good Monday Night Raw.
According
new
to
season.
According to Boza, we got Stephanie versus Ivy now. They probably just made an announcement.
Stephanie.
Like her.
See, we don't even need Julia, bro. Stephanie everywhere.
I mean, Stephanie is the hottest star,
really
but you need
is,
Julia, though.
But she really is, though. Like, she really is, though. Like,
she just has a presence. She just has a good presence.
Say it again, Courtney.
Stephanie has a good presence.
And who doesn't?
Julia has presence. We're not gonna do that.
No, we're not gonna do that.
Julia's a better presence as a heel since a heel turn.
And yes, Neil, I agree with this. That will definitely happen.
Maybe switch the hair color to orange. I don't know. It's just not hidden.
We already have orange. We have 3 oranges. We got Gigi, Jakara, and Becky. We don't need it.
Yeah, the fact you call it out like that.
There's only one blueprint. It ain't Julia.
She doesn't exist. She doesn't wear blue anymore.
No, I don't count.
The blueprint's name was Sasha, not the other name. So
I'm just saying.
I will take Julia over Sasha as far as a roster building.
I'm just saying. There's a reason that your NXT Women's Champion is on Raw when the ladder is supposed to be called up. It's like, I don't know.
You're not about to shit on the workhorses, man. Come on now.
You wanna answer your thoughts to this question? Said.
Do I think that Becky is in the stable or another male superstar? I think there's a lot of fans that are clamoring for a women's superstar to be in that stable, and I would hope it's not Becky, if I'm being honest, because she doesn't need it. If you're going to elevate somebody in women's division, it needs to be somebody that hasn't been featured on TV. I'm thinking Shayna Baszler. I'm thinking Zoe Stark. Somebody that can benefit while also work. And if it's not a women's wrestler per se, then we got to separate A-Town down under, and you got to move Austin Theory as the future. It's been far too long where he's kind of been up and down and back and forth in NXT in the tag team, had the WrestleMania match with John Cena, had the U.S. title reign, and you know he can work. You know he can do good things. The problem is his character or his presence hasn't gotten over on the mic and resonated with the fans. This would be a perfect time to have Heyman anoint him as a Paul Heyman guy. I think that would be perfect for him.
Well, hold on. Where does Grayson Waller go? He's arguably better on the microphone. You just have him just removed?
But that's what I'm saying. Grayson Waller's good enough on his own.
Grayson Waller is definitely solo.
Grayson Waller can be this generation's Miz, is just a perfect antagonist to anybody, and it just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think the draft should be coming up soon. I think you separate them at the draft, and then you move Theory into that trajectory. I know people are saying, "Oh, put Melo in it," but like Melo don't Miz is kind of working for me. I think he has his mentor already.
Starting to grow a bit.
I went back and forth about this last week on Friday when I had the watch along for SmackDown, and Will has touched upon this on the Kayfabe podcast as well, and here, but Miz is so clutch. Miz is so clutch. He's perfect for any moment, whether you're bringing in someone for a return, whether you're bringing in someone that you need to team up with and get them over a little bit or give them a rub, or you need a proper antagonist. Miz is your guy. You need a highlight reel or an interview. Miz is your guy. You need a red carpet, everything. Miz is perfectly placed anywhere in WWE. So I really applaud everything that he's doing. But before the lights went out and the guitar note hit, I kind of sympathized with a lot of the things that he said. Like, he's the A-lister. He wasn't even at Mania. He was all over Mania, in LA and everything like that. Where is he this year? But yeah.
I like this comment, which leads me to ask TK, how was that for you last night?
Whoa.
Were you like brimming with joy and sunshine?
When I tell you this man is so fine. When I tell you this man is scrump-dilly-icious. He make me want to... Oh, God.
That kind of looks like you too, as love. That's up. Man, just sitting at the couch.
Said that was so good. That was very well executed. Quick too. I love it.
I just wanted to know. As soon as I saw the reveal, I was like, oh man, TK probably jumping out the seat.
First off, Lash Legend looks amazing.
She does.
In person.
Yeah.
Damage control. I like that. That's smart. See, that's why you're the boss. There you go.
Oh my Lord. Anyway.
She looks amazing. I don't want any HR violations. She looks amazing in person. And we already talked about Trick. It's good. You know, he's gonna be doing some cooking at TNA. Happy for him.
Speaking of, you know,
just for the record, I live by the motto: ain't no fun if the homies can't get none. So TK, I got your back. Just
my
know.
God, I cannot.
Wait, what?
Not
all right.
But speaking of wrestlers who look great, did y'all see, side note, this is a quick little side note, but did y'all see the whole front row on SmackDown ready to risk it all for Jade and Tiffy last week?
The whole family, the mom, the
kid. Mom was like looking right at that thing. And it was just like, oh my God.
Sometimes you get caught.
Oh my God.
Ready to risk it all out here. Family shows, guys.
All right.
Family shows.
With that being said, I think it's that time to let Ced, you know, do his thing. Apparently, even though he got paid, we'll see what other work he's gonna be doing.
Oh man.
Courtney, where can everybody find you?
Well, the people can find me here on WWT Live. Wednesdays, you know, I have my Timeless Elite Wednesdays with AEW on Wednesday. They will be in Norfolk, Virginia this week. They're continuing the road to Double or Nothing. Lots of stuff is happening, and you don't know who's going to pop up on Wednesday for my watch along. So there's going to be a lot happening. People can always follow me on my socials on @CourtneyNJ11. They know where to find me. Also, make sure to follow ISPW Wrestling because I'm going to do a lot of work for them. I did not mention this because next Saturday is their 90s Wrestling Con, and your ladies from WWT Live, myself and Honey, will be there next Saturday. So we are very excited to be there celebrating wrestlers from the 90s. It's going to be a fun time, so make sure to come see us at the table. So we're going to be doing a lot of content. We're very excited. Chris Van Vliet's going to be there hosting the event. So we don't know who's going to pop up. So feel free to come check us out.
Honey, where can everybody find you?
You can find me where Courtney said next week. You can also find me here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every now and then, buzzing around. Also find me every weekend on the Kayfabe podcast with Dion and Councilman, and every Friday for the Honey Night SmackDown watch along. Follow me on all the socials, everything Wrestling with Honey, as well as the Wrestling with Honey podcast coming to YouTube.
The Podfather, where can everybody find you?
I really love that. I really love that for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, first of all, you got to see the Councilman on. Definitely Mandy Rose is a double champion. Make sure you follow him on all those platforms. He loves when Mandy Rose had 2 championship belts at the same time. But for me, I got a wrestling podcast. It's called Draped in Gold. Every Wednesday night, we talk about the last week in wrestling with a comedic twist. My friend Jack Farmer and I have the full hour. It's called drapedingold.com. And of course, justasandwich.com. That's my sports blog, wrestling blog, justasandwich.com. Check me out there.
Love that.
And Cedi said,
Ew.
Where can everybody find you?
I don't want to be found. Like I said, I got a lot of work to do. If I do the Raw watch along, you can find me in exactly 63 minutes because I will be late. And that's all you need to know about that. There's a lot of content floating around this atmosphere, interviews, things like that. I'm pretty sure you can find it somewhere. Ask TK about it. But yeah, don't need to be
the Red Velvet interview has dropped, so you guys can watch that where she does talk about Mercedes Moné. You can check that out and all the things she has planned and coming up. So definitely head over to YouTube and audio and all your podcast platforms. It's up and ready for you. And also, it's an enjoyable, visually enjoyable interview. So check it out. I guess the Councilman is unavailable, so you can go and follow him and find him and all the things. With that being said, you can follow me everywhere at TK Trinidad. Make sure you check out Women's Wrestling Talk on all social media platforms at www talkpod.com. I am working on a TNA recap video with me and the Councilman. We had a lot of fun. I had some cotton candy, and that made my day. So with that being said, I love cotton candy. With that being said,
I wanted to get some. Damn, I should have got some. All right.
I'm telling you, right?
Yeah.
With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWTalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.